Hello friends, I am Harish Tyagi, reader, Amity Institute of Education, Amity University, Uttar Pradesh. Today, dear learners, we will learn about the constitutional provisions in Indian constitutions made to education. After going through this lecture, you will be able to understand the concept of fundamental rights and duties, directive principles and various provisions made in constitutions to provide education. We have to know what is constitution. So, we can say a constitution can be defined as a set of fundamental principles and established precedents according to which a country is governed. These principles and precedents may be written or unwritten, brief or detailed, optional or obligatory for the government of the country. Concept of constitutional values is like this, that values are the special features and provisions which are fundamental to it. Some of these are mentioned in its preambles as objectives of the constitution, whereas the others are reflected in the entire constitution of India. Values enshrined in the Indian constitutions like sovereignty, socialism, secularism, democracy, equality, fraternity, republican character of Indian state are justice, liberty, human dignity and the unity and integrity of the nation. Here the sovereignty refers as a government in which all political power comes from the people, a system in which residents vote to decide an issue. Like we can see here a picture, like this is known, the casting of the vote is known as the popular sovereignty in India. And now socialism is known as the integral part of freedom struggle of India, because we had a number of freedom struggles on the basis of like caste and creed. So, all these religions, caste and creed have come together for the freedom of the struggle in India. It was essential due to vast variety of social stratification in the country on the basis of caste, religion, economic status, political stature and social customs. And the idea of equality of all irrespective of apparent differences became so popular that it was given respectable place in the constitution. The movement of Sarvodaya and Sampurna Kranti were evident of the social demand of socialism. This value has contributed a lot in the upliftment of millions of downtrodden in the country. Now, secularism. So, secularism terms means the equality in all the religions in the state. They can participate in any functions and they can even celebrate their cultures and customs. This is known as the secularism. So, we can say India is a secularism state. We have different religions like Buddha, Sikhs, Hindu, Muslim and the like Jain etc. So, these are the part of secularism. Democracy. The word democracy comes from the Greek word demos means the people, karatos means the rule. Therefore, democracy means rule of the people, for the people and by the people. As a form of government, it derives its authority from the will of the people. The people elect the rules of the country and the elected representatives remain accountable to the people. Here the Abraham Lincoln has given the very true definition that the government of the people, by the people, for the people shall not perish from the earth. Equality means every person has the equal right in the constitution or in the nation. So, here equality is one of the most commendable feature, as it is the value which provides all the citizens of the nation with equal status and all levels of life. Chapters on fundamental rights and directive principles of state policy has specific provisions to deal with inequalities. The article 38(2) states that the state shall in particular strive to minimize the inequalities in income and endeavor to eliminate inequalities in status, facilities and opportunities not only amongst individuals, but also amongst group of people residing in different areas or engaged in different vocations or work. Article 39 declares that the state shall in particular direct its policy towards securing number 1 that the citizens men and women equally have the right to an adequate means of livelihood. Number 2 that the ownership and control of the material resources of the community are so distributed as best to subserve the common good. Number 3 that the operation of the economic system does not result in the concentration of wealth and means of production to the common determinant, and number 5 that there is a equal pay for equal work for both men and women. Fraternity. So, fraternity refers to that spirit of common brotherhood among all the people of India. It is important to give meaning to all the ideas like justice, liberty and equality. The preamble lays great emphasis on this value because absence of fraternity in a pluralistic society like India, we have a very pluralistic society and pluralistic state is known as India, will surely result into conflicts, clashes and ultimately division of the nation. As per the constitution, fraternity cannot be realized only by abolishing untouchability among different sections of the community, but also by abolishing all the discriminatory feelings which stand in the way of unity of the country. So, we have not only to focus untouchability, but we have to inculcate such values so that people do not have such feelings which are creating certain type of this barrier. The preambles of our constitution is like that: we the people of India have solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign socialist secular democratic republic and to secure to all its citizens in terms of justice, social, economic and political. So, here justice means economical also justice, social justice as well as the political justice, and liberty of thoughts. We have the liberty of thoughts, we can express our feelings and we can have the faith in worship and we can have the belief in different type of religions, etc. Now, equality of status and of opportunity and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. So, in our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949 do hereby adopt, enact and give to ourselves this Constitution. The word socialist, secular and integrity were not in the original Constitution and have been inserted by 42nd Amendment Act 1976, it was made. So, this was first time when we have inserted the like socialist and secular integrity in our Constitution, and we have also fundamental rights like right to equality. Elaborately means equality between law, prohibition of discrimination on grounds of religions, race, caste, gender or place of birth, and equality of opportunity in matters of employment. They can get employment anywhere in any state or in out of the state or out of the country even. Abolition of untouchability and abolition of titles. We have removed the titles like Khan Bahadur, Sher Bahadur and so on. And right to freedom. The right to freedom has several factors such as freedom of speech. We can speak anywhere at any public places which is acceptable by the people, and expression, assembly, association, or we can form the unions or cooperative movements we can start, and we can stay anywhere in any state or any village or any city, etc. This is our freedom. And right to practice any profession or occupation. If we have valid degree or skills, we can start the occupation anywhere in the country. And right to life, liberty, we have full life to live. So, we have this type of freedom also, and protection in respect to conviction in offence and protection against arrest and detention in civil or criminal cases of designated nature. Right against exploitation, we have these rights also. We cannot be exploited at any workplace or anywhere. This fundamental right is a powerful tool to protect all Indian citizens against all forms of forced labor, child labor and human trafficking. Right to freedom or religion, we have these rights also. Freedom of conscience and free professions, practice and propagation of religion, freedom to manage religious affairs, freedom from certain taxes and freedom from religious instructions in certain educational institutions. We have also cultural and fundamental rights. This right is most important to preserve and develop the age old culture and civilization of our country. Through this right, all group and section of the Indian citizens are given freedom and they are free hand to conserve their culture, language or script, and right of minorities to establish and administer educational institution of their choices. Even our national policy on education 1986, we have given freedom to open the minorities universities also. We have right to constitutional remedies, like it enables each citizens to ensure judicious implementation of all the provisions rendered to them by the constitution. This right, which provides legal means and ways for enforcement of the fundamental rights. And we have also right to education act 2009, it has been implemented in 2009 and it gives power to have or to receive the education, particularly elementary education. And in this article it reads like that: state shall provide free and compulsory education to all the children of the age of 6 to 14 years in such manner as the state may by law determine. So, it means every child of this age group from 6 to 14 has full right to receive the education in the Indian government's cost. As a result, the right to children, we are going to provide free and compulsory education through this act. It was enforced on 4th August 2009. India became one among the 135 countries of the world to declare education as fundamental rights after the Right to Education Act 2009. We have fundamental duties also for our citizens. The fundamental duties were not a part of constitution before 42nd amendment in 1976. So, we do not have such type of duties when our constitution was enforced, but in 42nd amendments which came into practice from 1976, we introduced this on the recommendation of the Swan Singh committee constituted by Mrs. Indira Gandhi ji in 1976. This concept was inserted in the constitution. Fundamental duties as per article 51A of the constitution, it is like to abide by the constitution and respect its ideals and institutions. The national flag and the national anthem means we have to respect the national flag as well as we have to respect the national anthem and we have to sing it. To cherish and follow the noble ideas which inspired our national struggle for freedom are like this: to uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity and integrity of the India, to defend the country and render national service when called upon to do so, to promote harmony and the spirit of common brotherhood amongst all the people of India, transcending religious, linguistic and religion or sectional diversities, to renounce practices derogatory to the dignity of women. Means we have very much respect as per the Indian constitution for the women, and to value the preserve the rich heritage of our composite culture, and to protect and improve the natural environment including forests, lakes, rivers and wildlife, and to have compassion for living creatures. Means we have to protect them, and to develop the scientific temper, humanism and the spirit of inquiry and reform. Here I have to speak about this scientific temper. This word scientific temper first was introduced by the then Prime Minister Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru to safeguard public property and to adjure violence. We have to discourage the violence. We have not to create the violence situation in any part of any nation or particularly in our states, to strive towards excellence in all spheres of individuals and collective activity, so that the nation constantly rises to high levels of endeavor and achievement. Who is the parent or guardian to provide opportunity for education to his child or ward, as the case may be, between the age of 6 and 14 years. We have the directive principles also as per our constitutions. These are like economics and socialistics, political and administrative, justice and legal, environmental, protection of movements and peace and security. We have the constitution values also, and we have very much aims and objectives of our educations also. In the past 69 years of independence, education has strived a lot to achieve the constitutional goals of individual, social and national growth and development. Some of the constitutional values which have been premier amongst the rest are described here as under: number 1, individual development. We have to give such type of education so individual can develop fully, and we have the social development value also. They can participate in any social activities. We have the national development also, means they will do good practices for the national development and blending modernity with tradition. We can develop these values among our Indian citizens, that they can have their modernity, but they cannot forget their traditional values. We have the constitutional provisions various types, like the Constitution of India contains as many as 34 provisions related to education. Number 1, these provisions are in the form of articles, entries, right to special categories, admissions, norms, language and special provisions, means they can take admission in any part of the state, any part of the country, even any school of the nation. A list of such provisions since the implementation of the Constitution in 1950 till the inclusion of Article 21A in 2002 after the 86th Amendment in the Constitution is given hereunder. Article 28 says that freedom as to attendance at religious instructions or religious worship in educational institutions. Article 29 provides equality of opportunity in educational institutions, and Article 30 it accepts the rights of minorities to establish and administrate educational institution, means these minorities group can establish their educational institutions also. And Article 45 says that state shall endeavour to provide within a period of 10 years from the commencement of the Constitution for free and compulsory education for all the children until they complete the age of 14 years. The 7th schedule of the Indian Constitution contains legislative power under 3 lists, like number 1 union list, number 2 state list, number 3 concurrent list. The union list, this list contains 97 subjects where the following entries are located to education: entry 13 to provide educational and cultural relations with foreign countries, entry 62 the institutions know at the commencement of the Constitution as national liberty, the Indian Museum, the Imperial War Museum, the Victoria Memorial and Indian War Memorial and other such institutions financed by the Government of India wholly or in part and declared by the Parliament by law to be an institution of nation importance. Entry 63 institution of national importance, the institution known at the commencement of this Constitution as the BHU, AMU and Delhi University etc., declared by Parliament by law to be an institution of national importance. Entry 64, the institution of specific and technical education financed by the government of India wholly or in part and declared by law to be institutions of national importance like IITs and IIMs. State list consists of 66 entries, out of which the following is the entry related to the education, entry 12. According to this entry, all libraries, museums and other similar institutions controlled or financed by the state, ancient and historical monuments and records other than those declared by the under the law made by the parliament to be the national importance. The concurrent list comprises 47 entries. Among them, the following are related to the education: entry 20, economic and social planning; entry 24, education including technical education, medical education and universities subject to provisions of entries 63, 64, 65, 66 of the union list; entry 34, newspapers, books and printing presses; reservation in education, education of minorities. Article 28 of the Constitution contains certain special provisions for the education of the children belonging to the minorities communities. These include no religious instruction shall be provided in educational institution wholly maintained out of state funds. If any institution has been established under any endowment trust, even if administered by state, can impart religious education. No person attending an educational institution recognized by the state or receiving funds from state government shall be required to take part in any religious workshop or instructions that may be conducted in such institution or in any premises attached there no unless such persons or if such person in a minor and his guardian has given his consent thereto. Admissions, article 29 says in that regard no citizen of India can be denied admission into any educational institution which is either maintained by the state or receiving aid out of state funds or ground only on the religions, race, caste, language or any of them. Article 15 says that make special provision for the education of the women. It says that separate educational institution can be established for the women. Mother tongue, for promotion of teaching of and through mother tongue, the Constitution of India has made distinct provision. These include provision of Hindi language also. Article 350 says that every state and local authorities with the state to provide adequate facilities for instructions in the mother tongue at the primary stage of education to children belonging to the linguistic minority groups. The president may issue direction to any state as he considers necessary for the recurring to facilities to these. Article 351 says that to promote Hindi language, and it shall be the duty of the central government to spread Hindi language in the entire country. We have the policies for the women educations also, like Mahila Samakhya, Kasturba Gandhi Balika schemes, like Sakshar Bharat Mission for female literacy, Sabla, Rajiv Gandhi scheme for empowerment of the adolescent girls, national program for education of girls at elementary levels. We have the educational provisions for the marginalized sections of the society also. In this article 46 says that state shall promote with special care and education and economic interest of the weaker section of the people, and in the particular of the scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, and shall protect them from social injustice and all form of the exploitations. Article 330, 332, 335, 338 to 342 and the entire 5th and 6th schedules of the Constitution deal with special provisions for implementation of the objectives set forth in Article 46. These provisions are needed to be utilized judiciously for the benefits of the weaker section of the society. Let us sum up. In today's lecture, we have learnt about the various provisions made in our constitutions regarding the education, education of women, education of children, education of the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, and education of the even disabled or education even those who are staying in the remote areas. So, we have also discussed in regard to rights and duties. Our citizens have a number of rights, and similarly they have to follow their duties also, because India cannot progress until unless we are not following the duties and we are demanding only the rights. So, dear learners, have a good day. Thank you.